If the truth can be told so that it can be understood, it will be believed. Human nature, well, human history, represents such a break with the natural systems of biological evolution that preceded it. But it must be some type of mutation, some type of exception to the normal systems of planetary development and evolution. Unlike any other species that has ever existed, humanity can anticipate futures, see patterns developing, and make conscious choices for the first time ever. The evolution of a species has been placed on the species itself, us. We can continue in our morally downward spiral, warring on each other, perpetually trying to be bigger, better, stronger, not caring about our relationship with nature, our planet, our sensitivity, our consciousness, our integrity, and our sense of spirituality. Or we can go beyond. The real truth is that history has failed, but for 12,000 years we've been lied to and forced, fed divisive conditioning designed to alienate us from our true birthright that we are all naturally and powerfully psychic, being intuitive, sensing things beyond the five senses, sensing energy. From birth, we've been limited, restricted, conditioned, and shaped by a kind of dominator culture that seeks to impose the lowest common denominator of us all. Herd mentality has become the norm, whether it be gender, color, religion, or race that sets the boundaries. Power over has been the key to progress in the material world instead of power with and power within. Fear, paranoia, sin, sex, and guilt are the tools by which the dominators seek to maintain their control. The placebos of cars, computers, televisions, and money are the droplets of appeasement designed to enmesh humanity in an ever deepening morass or materialism, leading to ever greater divisions between the haves and the have-nots. Over the millennia, religion has been the single strongest tool in the hands of the dominators, imposing centuries of hardship and division upon people, resulting in irreconcilable differences worldwide with regard to what constitutes truth. Since the beginning of time, dominator philosophy has sought to isolate people. And their vulnerability imposed behavioral attitudes and ideas. All religions are based on the notion of disempowering individuals, bringing them to a mental state where blind obedience is the order of the day. For 10,000 years, they promised us a utopia, and they delivered a toxic, polluted, overpopulated planet. Enough is enough. All theologists have the notion of a kind of end of the world built into them. In this sense, is summing up the totality of human knowledge and experience is what is as a species we're going through now. We're at the end of history, not the end of the world. We're privileged to have been born at the greatest time of compressed change that we or our ancestors have ever known. And that change is happening now in our hearts and minds, our attitudes towards ourselves, each other, and this beautiful planet that we were so blessed to inhabit. And that's what the dominators are really scared of, us finding out how powerful we really are. We're witnessing an end of time culture where the younger generations have not been pushed down the same roads of belief as their parents and grandparents before them have been conditioned into. As a result, they grow up more aware of their intuition, their empathetic, empathic, and telepathic potentials, their sensitivity, and their awareness of what is truly right and wrong. We as individuals and as a planet are waking up to living a life with a greater sense of integrity. In all cultures throughout time, there have been men and women who have been dared to dream about the future, to go into areas of mystery, imagination, and defiance of society's conventions. They could be shamans, witches, or healers. They seek to empower the future and map out the readiness of that future for species evolution. We are all our own shaman, and we can intuitively upgrade our inner circuitry. We can expand to new areas of our brain that are ahead of our current comprehension, with our destiny lying in the not so distant future. The planet is actually interacting with us through our own psychic experiences, group sharing, crop circles, or world opinion. Nature is sending us a message, and that is to transform our system of communication. For 2,000 years, we've somehow survived through a very restricted and limited way of life through which we have denied our intuition, our imagination, and our inner truth feelings. We have been living a lie designed by society for the sake of our survival, and now it's really time to move on into a better world designed for intuition, femininity, not ego, into a world defined by our own empathetic sensitivity and compassion, and by intuitively just feels right. We will find ourselves in the middle of a telepathic community where individual privacy will still be the norm, but with a bonus of higher empathic resonance, making it impossible for anyone to harbor malice or violence without it being impossible to lower their vibration. The result has already taken hold, and the confusion and previously destructive patterns dissolve. We can resist these changes, or we can embrace them to create a more positive future than we ever have dared to dream. We are at a point where through dance, movement, and sensuality, we can find out what our true purpose is on this planet. The key to reaching the awareness of who we really are and what is going on around us in our name is by dealing with our stuff. Accepting ourselves as being who we are, warts and all, we were never going to be good enough. We were always getting better, so don't ever, ever stop trying. It is about the effort or the goal that is required of us. It is the attempt that invokes the future. Our current world, originating in the 60s, maturing in the 80s, wildly since 1999, is approaching its peak. From our reference, the peak now is 2019 through 2026. This is not a drill. This is a prime time that ourselves and the lives of our ancestors have been building toward. It's the time when we will be more accountable for our conscience, our honesty, our integrity, and then asked to move on to a better future, like ever being on planet Earth. There will be an evolutionary leap, the likes of which we have never seen before. There will be an acceleration of population and technology, and that graph curve is not linear, it's exponential. And we're approaching prime vertical. So, do we collapse it on ourselves and perhaps happen 2,000 years ago, or do we go beyond the existing boundaries where the multidimensional future contains limits only bound by the imagination? The timelines are drawing in, the options are running out, the fences are coming down. Do we acquiesce to the dominators and become even more insane to the ruining of the earth, of nature, the suppression of the feminine, or other spiritually bankrupt policies? Or do we tear the fear of the conditions that the governments and the dominators have imposed upon us? Or do we move ahead into a cleaner world of our own making, a world unpopulated by power, secure in our sense of individuality, yet aware of our rule, our function, our space, and our society based on love, community, consciousness, expansion, empathy, and a sensuality and sensitivity to our environment? Because if these things are not part of our future, what kind of future is it going to be? For thousands of years, our ancestors sat around the campfire dreaming of a time when the purpose of our existence would be understood. We want to prove to our ancestors that we as humanity have redeemed ourselves in all that truly resides in us all. Don't succumb to the bullies and the dominators. You are the center of the universe you will ever really know. It's our world, and we are rapidly approaching the time of intelligence, love for ourselves and others that is unconditional communication, and global community as its basic root structures. These are the final years of history as we have known it. The countdown is now. This is not a test. By the end of 2026, the scene will be set and we will be officially living in a new reality, the like of which we can only hint at in this moment. It's the end of history, and the future really is in our imagination. Do we really owe it to our past to make our future part of our story?